Hello, you're here with Jewish Uncensored. Today we get to get an inside look into Qatar. Qatar is generally seen as a behind-the-scenes player in the Middle East, but after this deep dive, I think we're going to have a better idea of their role in the grand scheme of all the events going on and all the mediations and all that kind of stuff, and how we should view them after all. And we're going to really see how deep their influence goes.
Two wars are being waged against Israel. The first is the one you know, the one you hear about on the news, the one that started on October 7th with the hostages, the tanks, and Gaza. The second war started long before, and that is the one Qatar is fighting against Israel. It is a war against the legitimacy of Israel. This is a different kind of war. This war is fought with media, education, patience, and a lot of money. It is a far less visible war and therefore far more dangerous. Sadly, Israel has been caught off guard by both wars. Many in Israel, including officials, aren't fully aware of it, and I will be explaining why shortly. You already know that Qatar has a lot of money. What you may not know is that Qatar is run by Tamim bin Hamid, a Muslim extremist who is an advocate of the Muslim Brotherhood, a global Muslim movement that opposes Western values and wants to impose Sharia law all over the world. Qatar itself is governed according to Sharia law. It tries to project a clean, modern image with its megalomaniac infrastructure, but at the end of the day, its legal system is like those in Afghanistan and Yemen, which means no democracy, no free speech, no political freedom, and of course, no gay rights. Not even the right to live. Unlike many other extreme Muslim countries that publicly threaten to destroy Israel, Qatar does it in a subtle way. Let's take a look at how. Large parts of the Muslim world hate Israel. In fact, there are not many things that bring together the Arab Muslim world more than their hatred towards the Jews and Israel. Many of these countries don't hide it. Iran says publicly that it wants to wipe out Israel. And it is the same with Hamas and Hezbollah. They announce as much in their official documents. One Lebanese journalist who interviewed the IDF spokesman while she was abroad was stopped at the airport when she landed back in Beirut just because she had spoken publicly with an Israeli. This shows the level of obsession with Israel. Qatar is playing a different ballgame, which is far more twisted and strategic. On a superficial level, Qatar talks to everyone, with the US, which has the biggest air force base in the Middle East in Qatar, and with Israel, which has had a representative in Doha since the 90s. Qatari officials talk to Israel. And because most Muslim countries don't talk to Israel, and Qatar does, some Israelis confuse this engagement with shared interest. It is a bit embarrassing to say so, but some Israelis haven't learned one of life's essential truths. Not everyone who speaks to you is your friend. You don't need to scratch too deep below the surface to see Qatar's war against Israel. Qatar is fighting against Israel on three fronts: media, academia, and, most obvious, terror organizations. I will start with the media because it is the easiest to prove. Pause this video now. Head to Al Jazeera website and you will see that the main headline is something against Israel. There is a slight chance that the main headline will be something against the US, but then the next three subheadlines will certainly be critical of Israel. How do I know this? Because this is how they consistently drip-fed hatred for Israel to their readers.
It's funny, I actually just did this. Most of their headlines are about India right now, but they did have some personal opinion pieces how Israel is bad in the typical narrative. But right now, because of the everything happening in India, they're all about India right now and Pakistan.
They don't say in the English version that Israel must be destroyed. No, they know that it is too much for Western ears. So they drip feed a little every day. News about how poor the Palestinians are, how much they are suffering. According to Al Jazeera, Israel has never killed a single terrorist, only civilians. According to Al Jazeera, Hamas has never killed any Palestinians. Al Jazeera will not tell you about Islam Hijazi, for example. She didn't want to give the money she had collected for the hospital to Hamas, so they shot her. She had 2 small children. Al Jazeera will never tell you about this guy. His video, Save Us from Hamas, went viral.
هدول تجار دمنا كل يوم بتنسفوا دمنا فرجوا كيف أطفالنا ونسانا في الشوارع يا أمة عربية يا أمة إسلامية يا ضمير العالم انقذونا من حماس قبل اليهود.
So Hamas killed him. Al Jazeera never reported on him, just as they don't report on the hundreds of other Arabs that Hamas killed in Gaza. This is no coincidence. There is something crucial that you need to understand here. Al Jazeera is not a media network in the Western sense of the word. In the West, the media is seen as a platform for ideas with many channels, networks, and newspapers representing different ideas. Actually, in the West, the media is seen as the foundation of democracy. However, in dictatorships, and it doesn't matter if it is a communist dictatorship like China or Cuba, or an Arab dictatorship like Qatar, this kind of media is seen as a huge threat. I mean, imagine they could come up with a crazy idea of being critical towards the rulers. In these countries, the media isn't a place to share ideas. Instead, it is used by the government as a tool to educate and to suppress any criticism. In Qatar, there is no freedom of speech, political freedom, or political parties. You can't talk about the government's political agenda, and you certainly can't criticize it. Al Jazeera is a branch of the Qatari government that serves it exceptionally well. It knows how to speak to each audience in their own language. The English version and the Arabic version of Al Jazeera have completely different content. Look at these caricatures. These are only intended for the Arab audience. They won't ever be shown in the English version because in the West they would be seen as, and rightfully so, as anti-Semitic. But this anti-Semitism is very mainstream in the Arab world. And speaking of anti-Semitism, the English version of Al Jazeera talk about the Holocaust as being a terrible thing. But in the Arabic version, and this is a translation from the Arabic, was there a Holocaust or is it something that the Zionists use for their purpose? And look at this article, which reports on the death of an Egyptian feminist and is written to appeal to its progressive, left-leaning audience. But the Arabic version contains a different version of events. In Arabic, Al Jazeera accused Sadawi of going against the Quran, Islam, and social culture, and supporting prostitution. In the English version, they keep up a progressive facade. But this is what they show their children.
أنا أكره اليهود جدا لأنهم قاموا بسب الله تعالى وقتلوا الكثير من الأنبياء وحاولوا قتل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
Al Jazeera's reporters are activists or even terrorists. The Israeli army found lists of Hamas members, and on this list were at least 6 Al Jazeera reporters. So next time you read that the IDF killed reporters, that may very well be true. But part of the truth is missing. These reporters are Hamas terrorists. And it isn't just a case of a few rotten apples. There was a secure line running between Hamas and Al Jazeera through which Hamas instructed Al Jazeera on how to report on cases of Hamas killing fellow Arabs. And all this is documented, and I will leave the links below. Now, none of this is that surprising. Hamas, like Qatar, is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. They share the same ideology. They share the same goals. A document found by US intelligence states the goals of the Muslim Brothers. Understanding the role of the Muslim Brothers in North America. The process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process, with all the word means. The Ikhwan must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. Now that you know that, you probably won't be surprised to hear that Osama bin Laden praised Qatar for its support.
Okay, so there you have it. Again, like a bit of a deep dive into Qatar and what they're really all about. You may be misled by all the negotiations that are happening there, and all the Western countries are flocking there to visit them. If I'm correct, they had like a big soccer game there recently. But again, just remember these things, that these are the intermediaries and between us and Hamas right now, dealing with the hostages situation, how to get them out. These are the guys who have housed Hamas leaders since the beginning and since even before October 7th. Al Jazeera is Qatari funded, just as he was mentioning in the video, and we know how much they love Israel, to the point where Israel had to kick them out finally, which I think it's a bit late on our part, but better late than never. Then these guys are obviously, any chance they take, they'll take a hit at us for their by their journalists. Again, Hamas members, plenty of them were journalists for Al Jazeera. And the last thing is that, again, we didn't get to that in this video. You can watch the full link on Traveling Israel, but the fact that Qatar is funding a lot of the education in higher institutions and universities in America and abroad to really change the mind and the way of thinking of the academics to the point where they can almost make a revolution in the way of people think, and they'll always be anti-Israel. So again, you can watch the full video on travelingisrael.com, his YouTube channel, and it tells you all about their funding of universities and how they support terrorism on a global scale. It's a very informative video. Definitely take a peek if you have a chance. And yeah, so it was just interesting to see how this plays out. And the more these links are becoming discovered between Qatar and all these different enterprises they're investing in. You're here with Jewish Uncensored. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. I'm Israel Chai.